Tonight, we are going to be reading about 6 disturbing Reddit mysteries. So sit back, relax, get comfortable, and let's step into the darkness. This Redditor was disturbed when things were starting to happen in their house that they did not remember doing. For the past couple of days, I've had this issue. I'm pretty sure someone is in my house, but I can't exactly prove how. And yes, I called the police this morning. They don't seem to know either, but I'll get to that in the next couple of paragraphs. I'm a 24-year-old female, and that'll help in explaining my predicament. I live alone. I keep a tidy house, more so than most people. My bedroom can be a bit disorganized at times, but the rest of my house is well organized, which is why I was able to detect something was off. I came home from work a couple of nights ago and found a bottle of scotch sitting on my stove. It was my scotch. That's not the mystery. I use it for cooking. But it sits near the stove, never on it, and I don't even remember the last time I had hands on it. I was able to convince myself that I had maybe moved it while cleaning the counter and subconsciously put it there and hadn't realised that I did. I'm still not even against believing that, but I'm making a point. The second thing I noticed, which I know wasn't a fluke on my part, was an energy drink sitting in my fridge. I like to drink the grape nos, but I like to drink them warm, and I'll leave them out for an hour or two to let them warm up. I never put them in the fridge, but while I was running errands, I get back and find this thing sitting in my fridge, which I just wouldn't do. It was the very early morning hours, about 2 AM give or take, and I can hear footsteps inside of my house. They weren't on the floor though, more specifically, they were on the ceiling. I have a metal roof, and the sound of something hitting that is very different from the sounds I was hearing. These definitely sounded like they were coming from the attic. Also, I don't have an attic. I called the police. They were not very much help. Wasn't much they could really do. They looked around my house for entries, nothing seemed to stick out. I did this myself, but I felt a second set of eyes could hopefully point me to something that I didn't see. But as I stated, they weren't much help. Not trying to take jabs at the police, but it is what it is. I worked the day shift today. When I got back home, I found a few of my ceiling tiles on the ground. This was alarming. It was like someone had stepped through my ceiling. I have no clue what to do. I had my neighbour from next door come over to help me find a place someone could have gotten in. My windows are always locked. There is one place on the outside of the house that is theoretically able to be accessed and entered through, but it would require a ladder and a screwdriver to even get through, and I just don't see how someone could access that without raising alarms from the neighbours. Any and all advice and recommendations are welcome, and because I know people will suggest this, cameras are already ordered. Edit. Thank you for everyone responding. I feel the need to clear a couple of things up that seem to be confusing people. First, I was in a jumpy state of mind when I initially wrote this, and I'm realising that I wasn't clear in explaining some things. I've addressed it in many of the comments, but I'll also address it here to hopefully be more informative. The "I don't have an attic" comment was a poor choice of words. I mean that there doesn't appear to be any way up there that anyone has been able to find from within the house. There is obviously a way up there, albeit a challenging one. There's definitely space for movement on the upper portion of the house. Second, the nos. I completely take responsibility for this one. I did absolutely zero to clarify what I meant. The flavour of nos that I like isn't sold commercially in packs from the grocery store. I have to buy them cold from the cooler at the gas station, and then let them sit out to warm up. I understand that my initial explanation was a bit confusing, and I'm sorry about that. Also, I called my older brother and asked if he would come and check out my place with me, just so I can have an unbiased set of eyes on the property to see if a conclusion can be reached. People expressed concern that I was staying in the house, and I very much appreciate not only these users but everyone who offered advice. I'll be staying with my brother and sister-in-law until the matter is resolved. A strange mystery, and one that would freak me out if it was happening in my house. Commenters offered their potential answers to OP's mystery, and one in particular got a lot of upvotes because it did seem likely. The person said that a friend of theirs from years ago felt like something was going on because food she had bought kept going missing. She knew that it wasn't her or anyone she knew doing it, so was understandably freaked out. As it turned out, their landlord had hired someone to do maintenance on the property, and it turned out that he was not only letting himself into the home, but having snacks from the friend's house during his workday. They suggested that it could be something like this in OP's case, but the poster was quite confident that it wasn't happening because no work or services were going on nearby. Of course, others suggested that it could be a Frogger and urged OP to get cameras, even if they were just cheap ones. If they set them up, they could at the very least scare off any potential intruder or catch them in the act. Just a day after making the original post, OP would come back to the RBI subreddit with an update. Hello everyone. If you're here from my previous post, thank you. If you haven't read that post, maybe read that one first to understand. First, a big thank you is in order. You were all very helpful in your suggestions, and quite a few of the commenters were correct. If it wasn't for the insistence of the comments, I would have assumed I was still doing things correctly, and maybe dead sooner rather than later. I called my older brother and asked him to come check out my house with me, and see if there was something in the house that I was missing. He was able to get a look at the entry point at the top of the house. The screws weren't turnable, and he eventually abandoned the attempt to open it. There was a very unlikely chance that anyone was using this to get inside. But the scarier part is coming right now. Carbon monoxide was a big thing recommended as a culprit in my original post from the comment section. I informed most users that I have not one but 2 carbon monoxide detectors in my home. I was very convinced that wasn't the reason behind it. But my brother had decided to check my fuse box, which is located on the outside of my house. One of the fuses was turned off. It just so happened to be the fuse that was powering the outlets used for the carbon monoxide detectors in my house. He said with the recent freeze, it was possible that the fuse had frozen and then switched off gradually once the ice had thawed during the day. I don't know about all of that, but it sounds plausible enough. Finally, once the fuse was turned back on, he recalibrated my carbon monoxide detectors. I admittedly don't know how to do this, and there were higher than normal levels of carbon monoxide detected in the house. With the heat running and without proper ventilation, I seem to have been doing these strange things in an altered state of mind, or just downright hallucinating. As for my ceiling tiles on the floor, I don't know, but it was near a closet, and when I looked at an old picture I'd taken inside of the house when I was first trying to rent the property, I did notice a picture of the tiles hanging loosely from the base. It must have been one of those things that my brain defrags as irrelevant information and never fully noticed it. The falling was seemingly just a natural occurrence, and my brain conjured up further paranoia to fuel my delusion of an intruder. So, that's it. Mystery solved. Thank you everyone for your helpful suggestions and concern for my well-being. It did not go unnoticed by me, and I apologise for wasting the community's time. I'm also going to get checked out tomorrow. I feel fine and I've been breathing natural air for a few hours now, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Sending everyone really big hugs of gratitude. A scary end to the mystery, because it could have ended up costing OP their life. I'm just glad that they were able to figure everything out, and now we know the truth. At the start of January, a person came to the RBI subreddit because a number of women from around America had received strange texts and phone calls from local numbers who knew a disturbing amount of information about them. In November 2025, I received a phone call from a phone number local to where I live. The area code is for the whole region, but my iPhone showed the city as specifically the small city I live in. I have an out-of-state area code and I just moved to this small city and haven't updated my address anywhere yet. I answered because I thought it was my doctor's office and the person said, "Is this legal name?" I said, "Yes, how can I help you?" And then there was this static or clicky phone sounds and the person kept saying, "Are you there? Can you hear me?" I hung up because it did feel like a scam or like they were trying to harvest a sample of my voice. I felt creeped out because they knew my legal name that I don't even go by and obviously spoofed a number to match where I live, which was not public information. I also was rattled by this call because the voice sounded exactly like someone who had been calling me back in 2023. In 2023, I was receiving clusters of weird calls and texts, some from the same guy who knew my name and insisted I had given my number to, but I absolutely did not. I am autistic and have extremely accurate memory about many things, including the sound of voices and who they belong to. And I'm almost certain the November 2025 caller was the same as one of the 2023 callers. Anyways, I searched the number from the November 2025 call on Cash App, and it comes up as Super One Foods. This is a real grocery store, but without any locations in my area. I tried searching more but didn't find anything and eventually gave up. Since about Christmas, I've been getting these generic pig butchering style openers, "Do you want to meet for lunch?" kind of messages, and I've just been ignoring them. Today, however, I got a text asking me a very specific question. For privacy purposes, I can't post a question. However, in order for them to ask this question, they would need to know a private detail of my life that I am only open about with close people. This detail of my life is not linked to my public identity online at all. Obviously, I was startled to get the text, so I searched the number from today on Google. Nothing came up, so I searched it on Cash App, and alas, Super One Foods. So I instantly connected it in my mind with the bizarre phone call I got in November. I typed Super One Foods number into Google and the drop-down list of suggested search terms said Super One Foods number Cash App, so obviously other people are searching this. This led me to the following TikTok video posted November 5th, 2025. The comments are full of women who are having the same experience, and all the different phone numbers point back on Cash App to Super One Foods. Some of the women report that whoever is messaging them knows their name, what they do for work, or other details about them. However, some women report getting voicemails or text from these Super One Foods numbers that have random incorrect accusations, such as "Why did you lie to me?" or they ask to speak with random unknown people while insisting that the woman receiving the message is that random person. Some women report getting added to group FaceTime calls with Super One Foods numbers, and when they reject the calls, they receive callbacks over and over. Many women report they get the calls and texts from numbers local to where they live, even if they have out-of-state phone numbers themselves. As of posting this, the TikTok above has comments from women as recently as a few hours ago reporting this happening. The most recent commenter wrote that they received a phone call from someone insisting they had her lost dog and got her phone number off a lost dog poster, but she doesn't have a lost dog. I messaged the creator of the TikTok and asked if she had any more info, and she said dozens of women have DM'd her with the same issue, but no one can figure out what is going on. How is it possible that so many phone numbers come up on Cash App as the same business? The callers and texters aren't trying to get us to pay them money or give them personal info. They do, however, sometimes know info about us. What do they have to gain? Why does it seem like only women in their 20s to 30s are being targeted? Obviously, none of us should engage with these calls or messages, and I'm definitely being militant about my phone use, but I just can't comprehend what is going on here or why. Any help is appreciated. This is very strange, but what is really going on here? As it turns out, after some investigating, it was discovered that it was actually the +1 in front of the phone number that was triggering the Super One foods to pop up. They don't seem to actually be connected to this rabbit hole, even though they seem to be on the surface. One thing is for sure, these are VoIP numbers. VoIPs are a virtual phone number that operates using the internet instead of a traditional provider, and they are commonly used by scammers or other people who otherwise want to stay anonymous. The strangest part of this all isn't that a scam number is calling these people, because that happens all the time. It's the fact that they have so much personal information about the people on the other end. I'd be freaked out if someone phoned me and suddenly knew information about me that should not be public. That isn't right, but the question is if this is legit, or if they're just taking a really good guess. While this seems to be widely reported on, there is a chance that there are many more cases that go unreported, and that could be because the information is sometimes wildly wrong. If someone phones you, gives you dodgy information that you know isn't true about yourself, then you'll move on with your afternoon. But if they phone hundreds of people every single day, then eventually they'll get a hit. That person will go on the internet to talk about the freak in the phone that knew details about their private life, and suddenly there is a paper trail. This is just a theory though, so let me know what you think in the comments. This is sadly where this rabbit hole ends, but people have also reported that their accounts have been getting attempted logins after receiving these calls. This screams like a massive criminal scam ring, but I guess, for now, we don't know the truth. A woman came to Reddit because she thought she was being stalked. Someone knew accurate information about her during a real-life encounter, and the worst part? She had never seen the person in her life. Okay, so I want to address this before I post. I am a dancer. I work at a strip club. I know it kind of comes with the territory, but that's no excuse. Please, if you have an issue with my profession or don't want to give constructive advice, then please stop reading now, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm getting more and more spooked by the hour, the more that I think of it. I'm hoping that I am blowing things out of proportion, but I can't help the way that I think. So this theoretically started 2 months ago when I was at the bank. On Mondays, I typically go to the bank to deposit my earnings from the week before. When I get to the teller, she addresses me as my stage name. She made a joke along the lines of, I was looking for Nova in the system, and then told me, I didn't recognize you without the cat ears. I told her to call me by my government name. The rest of the encounter went by without incident. I have no idea who this woman is aside from her working at the bank. I've never seen her in the club. I have never seen her outside of the bank. In a male-heavy environment, I tend to notice women and remember the faces of women a lot easier, and I would definitely remember seeing a girl from the bank inside of the club. I was told to tell a manager or call corporate. I didn't do that. I'll be honest, I just gave myself a few days to cool off, and eventually the incident went on the back burner. Fast forward to today. The same teller is handling my deposit. She says, "The last time I saw you, you were in a black bikini top." Again, I cannot remember seeing her anywhere other than the bank. I have no idea where she's seeing me. I don't post anything on socials regarding my dancing. I definitely don't post my outfits. I don't know how she knows what I'm wearing. Feel free to tell me that I'm overreacting, but I'm also looking for advice on how to detect a stalker. And cameras will be picked up tomorrow for my car. Even if this turns out to be nothing, I've still been meaning to get a dash cam. Thanks in advance. A strange situation indeed, especially in a place like a bank. The last thing you want is someone who you should be trusting with your money acting like they know you. People in the comments suggested that OP go back and question her, since she did do that to OP. They said that the poster should make sure not to offer up any details, just say the bare minimum, and let the teller fill in the blanks to see if she's even telling the truth. Understandably, OP didn't want to be alone while she did this, and so she brought a friend, but she did go back and provided this update. This morning, I went to the bank with my best friend, who is also a dancer, and asked her to go in and see if she knew who the teller was. As much as I love her, she has a tendency to get a bit overzealous and asked the woman how she knew me. She also verbally reprimanded her for not exercising discretion, and the teller started crying. I had to step in and tell them both to relax a little. The teller just started spitting out "I'm sorries" and disappeared into a back hallway. I talked to a manager for the first time and simply told him what happened over the past couple of months. He said that it was unacceptable and offered his apologies. I told him I wanted to pull all of my accounts from the bank. He did try and make it right by talking to the teller, but she didn't want to come out and address me. The manager also told me that in the future I could submit a customer complaint form to corporate, but also admitted that it usually falls on dead ears and I should just tell him personally. But the damage was done. I really didn't want this woman to cry. I don't like seeing people cry, but it's about protecting myself and my own privacy. Update 2. Happy Sunday. I meant to update earlier, but I fell asleep after a very long shift. If you haven't read my initial post, please go do that. It's on my page. I was very happy with the responses that I got. I was happier that a lot of people cared enough to take the matter seriously, so thank you to everyone who chipped in. After a very odd encounter with this bank teller, who compulsively apologised and cried, I pulled my funds from the bank and moved to another branch. But the whole thing didn't end with any degree of clarity as to who she was and how she knew me. I did get her name from the bank manager. I filed a complaint with him and also filed a customer complaint form with the corporate entity of the bank. But I did Facebook stalk her over the past few days. Nothing creepy, legitimately trying to figure out who she was. I noticed that we had a mutual friend on Facebook. It was the house mom of the club. At work last night, I showed her the girl's picture, and she was able to identify her by name, and told me that she was our club's door girl for a time. She also helped to jog my memory by showing me a selfie she had taken with her over a year ago. That's when I was sort of able to remember who she was. I'm not going to lie, while I respect those particular positions, I don't pay them a whole lot of mind. Not unless they hang out after the club closes for a beer or something. Otherwise, I don't have much interaction with them. Two entirely different areas of the club. So I may have jumped to conclusions about being stalked, which I'm grateful for, but when you're in my line of work and had to deal with some of the things that I've had to deal with, you can never be too cautious. Still very unprofessional and dangerous on her part. I can acknowledge and forgive an honest mistake, but I cannot overlook negligence and potential danger. A decent ending, because at least OP isn't being stalked, but still, very inappropriate behaviour from the teller. OP treated this situation with care, and that's amazing. They probably handled this one of the best ways they possibly could have. Some people are attacking them in the comments, but hey, I say fuck those guys. This OP felt like they were being watched, and disturbingly, they were not wrong. Today, when I was about to jump in the shower, I heard an Android phone notification go off. I have an iPhone. The sound came from within the room. It was far too clear and audible to be in another room in the apartment. What concerns me is it's not the first time I have heard phone notifications go off while I'm in the bathroom naked before a shower. There has only been one other instance, and it was also an Android notification. After I heard it, I looked around the bathroom trying to find a hidden phone somewhere, but nothing. I didn't dig super hard because being the first time I thought maybe I was just being paranoid. I should mention I don't live by myself. I'm a 21-year-old girl and I live with my parents and uncle in an apartment, so it is definitely possible for someone to purposefully leave a phone in the bathroom. A couple months back, I was in my bedroom with the lights off and thought I saw a tiny blue dot coming from the bottom area of my closet. The only way I can describe it is a blinking light, but it was like it was only on for a second and then it disappeared. I looked around my closet and nothing. I'm a pretty laid back person, so I honestly didn't think much of it and just thought I was imagining it. But I know deep down I actually saw and heard those things. Does anyone have any suggestions to find a hidden phone somewhere? I looked around already and didn't find anything. Or who knows, maybe I'm going crazy. Update. I did leave updates on the subreddit for those who were wondering what happened. Thank you to everyone for their suggestions. My purpose for posting this here was to be able to find the phone. I can't prove anything unless I can find where the phone is being hidden when I'm in the bathroom. Everyone's suggestions were very helpful. I won't be making any more updates for now since a lot of people just think I'm lying about it, like I actually get anything out of this. I will let you know if I ever find where the phone is being hidden. I do plan on letting my whole family know if I ever find proof. I can't just let them keep naked videos of me. I'm going to stay with a friend in the meantime, and I will try moving out in the next month if I can. Update 2. I found the phone. I heard it going off in the bathroom this morning, and I found it just looking out from the top of a shelf. It was not hidden at all, and I am telling you, the 2 times I looked before, I looked on the top and on the same shelf, and it wasn't there. It had 2% battery on it, and it died. Someone left it there on purpose this morning. The phone is my mum's old phone, and I suspected my uncle, but I guess his phone and the burner in the bathroom have the same ringtone, so I'm not sure anymore. Unless him or my dad had it on them when I heard it in the dining room last night. Whenever I talk to anyone about this in person, I keep getting dismissed. I tried to talk to my cousin and boyfriend about it, but they keep asking if I'm sure, and saying no one has a reason to do that. This is very frustrating, and I don't know what to do anymore. The fact I found the actual phone means no, I wasn't just hearing the sound carrying over from another room, I 100% believe someone in this house is leaving that phone for something malicious. Everyone here has their own privacy in their bedrooms to stash anything there if it's for the purpose of cheating. My uncle has his own room. No one ever goes in there besides him, and my mom and my dad are not together. They just live together for my sake, so my dad doesn't need to hide anything from her. My dad also has places he could store the phone, and my mom or anyone else would never see because no one ever goes through his things. For now, I just put the phone back there, but there was no SIM card on it, and I don't know the password. I think they know I started looking for it and left it out for me to find. I'm leaving pictures of the phone and how I found it. This is an awful situation to be in, especially considering they actually found the phone in the end. This was clearly hidden with purpose. The fact that it actually ended up showing up is even more messed up. As OP said, someone knew that they were looking for it and definitely wanted them to find it. It wouldn't surprise me if there was another phone hidden in the room because this is genuinely too obvious. Someone suggested that they get a camera for a cheap price and install it in their room. If they were able to hide it, that would be a bigger positive, because then they would be able to capture whoever is coming in and using and placing the phone without them even being aware that they're being filmed. Another commenter suggested that they ask for Google the next time they are alone and suspect they are being watched if they really believe that there is another phone hidden. The built-in AI companion would respond, and they would be able to track down the device. There is a chance that it wouldn't be enabled though, but certainly worth a shot. I don't want to go exposing OP's personal business because it is personal, but other posts suggest that their family aren't the greatest, we'll put it that way, so I think it's safe to say that they had every right to be suspicious and still do, and that they were genuinely being watched by someone in that house. It wasn't a mistake for the person to leave the phone there. It was entirely intentional. Hopefully, OP is able to get out of the house. They clearly need somewhere else to live, but that's easier said than done. An unknown person was harassing this poster, and disturbingly, they had intimate images of OP. Hi all. I don't know where to start, but I need to get this out there. In March, I started receiving text messages from the same person, using unknown numbers. When I try to Google the numbers, nothing comes up. Yesterday, I went to the police, but unfortunately, there is not much they can do at this time. The first texts were in March. They were pretty innocent in comparison to what I've received more recently. They were dick pics that appeared to be taken from the internet, as one had a watermark on it. The person was saying things like, "I miss you, I'm visiting town," etc. I only responded with, "Who is this?" and never heard back. Second round of texts in May. I start receiving texts with more dick pics. The person is saying they are in town and want to take me to dinner. I play along for a bit because I want to figure out who this person is. Every time I ask for their name, they dodge the question. I'm thinking maybe this is someone I know from back in the day, so I let them know that I am now married and will not be going to dinner with them. Since it becomes clear that this person won't give me any information about them, I block the number. Almost immediately, this person starts texting my husband, saying pretty aggressive shit like, "I used to fuck your wife and I'm going to again." An important note here is my husband's phone number cannot be found online. No social media, no company website, etc. At this point, I unblock the number and ask the person to stop. They continue on and text me an address saying to meet them at an Airbnb. I tell the person I am coming, but my husband heads over there instead. I know it's crazy, but we were heated. My husband is a big dude, 6'8", 250 pounds, serious weightlifter. My husband arrives to the address, which is a single family home in a nice part of town. I'm telling this person to meet me outside because I don't know to go inside a stranger's house. My husband knocks on the door eventually. The guy slightly opens it and shuts it as soon as he sees it's not me. My husband got a good visual description, but it doesn't match anyone I've ever dated or been intimate with. He's basically a generic white dude. The texts continue that day until I tell the guy I'm going to the police. Skip forward to yesterday. The person starts texting me saying they were thinking about me. Again, I ask who it is and they dodge the question. I block the number because I'm not playing into this again. But then, they start texting my husband old nudes. I have no idea how this person got photos that I took 6+ years ago. I do not believe the person who is texting me is the person I sent the nudes to. My partner and I at the time ended things off on a high note. I no longer live in the same town, but my brother frequently runs into him around town and they are friendly. I text my ex asking if it is him and beg him to stop. He sends a friendly reply saying he no longer has photos of me, that he's newly married, and points out that he has no idea who my husband is. He's an older guy, and I don't suspect him to be tech savvy. I might have sent the photos over Snapchat, which makes me think that Snapchat might have been hacked. I called the police yesterday and they took my report. The officer was also disturbed by all of this, but let me know that there's not much they can really do, especially since this person is probably using WhatsApp or a similar app. I don't know if this is related or not, but yesterday, someone tried to wire money out of my husband's bank account. The day before yesterday, he started receiving an unusual amount of spam emails. We have since started changing our passwords. Some additional info about the ex. He lives in the southeast, and I have lived out west for the last 7 years. We rekindled long distance, and that's when I sent the photos, but broke it off not long after. We've always been on good terms. I've never met his wife, and he's never met my husband. The text I sent him asking if he was the one harassing me was the first time we spoke in at least 4 years. Him and my brother don't hang out or anything like that, but will strike up a conversation if they run into each other at a bar or a restaurant, that sort of thing. My brother has also never met his wife. I'm curious to know what you all think of this, and if you've heard of it happening before. This is a horrible situation to be in, especially when it seems as though there is nothing you can do. OP sending their fucking tank of a husband over to the address that the creep gave them was honestly a brilliant move to read, and it's horrible that even that didn't stop the insane text messages. The fact that they still have old intimate photos of OP takes this whole thing to another level. There is a difference between being your average creep and literally keeping revenge porn. Honestly, I'd lock this guy up and throw away the key. What he's doing is highly illegal, and the only way these people will learn is if they are punished to the full extent of the law and more. Someone pointed out in the comments that because the ex isn't tech savvy, there may be a chance that he gave his old device away or sold it without properly wiping it. This would explain how some random person got OP's old photos, especially if he had saved them, and especially if the ex himself is denying it completely. He likely is genuinely completely innocent and just as shocked as OP, but could have made a silly mistake without even realizing it. Some people also suspected that the husband could have had something to do with this because OP's old phone that contains the photos was in her drawer. She checked though, and the phone was completely dead, like totally. So that isn't the case here. OP has thankfully made a police report about this situation, but hasn't provided an update in the 8 months since this post was made. Hopefully, they're moving on, and this creep has stopped harassing them. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video because it really helps the channel. If you're listening to this on Spotify, rate the podcast 5 stars and leave a follow. It would mean the world. Also, make sure you turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. Let me know in the comments what mystery interested you the most, and if you want me to read your story in a future video, you can submit it over on Reddit at r/Jessicur or email it to me using the one in the description. Don't forget to check me out on social media. I have Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter, and if you want to get involved with the community, I'm very active in my Discord server, so make sure you join it down there using the link in the description. Thank you so much to my Jessicur Plus members, Morrigan, Alex Rod, K4 Silver, Entreprenaut, Collectiki, Brooke, Carmilla, Based Finger, Midnight Kitty, River Camera, Willow, Briar, Frozen Roses, Jessicur, Shriv the Shrew, Rudy Jazz, Mikey Poopy, Clara, and Ivo Space. If you want to support the channel, then make sure that you check out Jessicur Plus. There are over 100 videos on there, and it's a great way to support the channel. Of course, subscribing and liking are more than enough, but if you are interested, head over to jessicur.com for more information. Also, the biggest shout out to Ice Bear. If any of you were in my stream, they donated a crazy amount last time, so thank you, Ice Bear. I love you so much. I'll be back very soon with another video, but if you want another right now, then I think you'll like the video that's on your screen.